Discover the essence of Native Hawaiians in our song and dance. Join us as we learn about the deeper meaning and cultural significance of hula. Aloha mai listeners, welcome to Mindful Malihini podcast, a series where we share a Native perspective on who, what, why, where, and when to visit in Hawaii. I'm your host, Tyler Yokepa Gomes, and today we're talking about our sacred Hawaiian dance and music traditions with Miss Aloha Hula 2010, Māhealani Mika. Aloha Mika, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Aloha. Aloha, Tyler. Mahalo for having me.
Yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit about hula today, and I think to start, can you talk a little bit about how long hula has been in your life, why you're so passionate about it, and maybe talk a little bit about your kumu?
Sure. Well, hula, I actually don't remember a time when hula wasn't a part of my life. So I remember one of my earliest memories was I was about 4 years old and my dad just put my hair up in, and bless his heart, in whatever ponytail my dad could figure out how to put my hair up in, put me in the car. And I remember I just woke up and from a nap in the car, and then he just pushed me into this, room full of other little girls, and kumu hula Mapuana Di Silva was my first kumu hula, and she just looked at me, she said, "Aloha Māhealani," and she just took me into the class, and I just stood next to these other little girls, and that was my first hula experience. And
No prep.
I had no idea where I was even going. My dad just told me get in the car, so I'm like, yes dad, and I ended up in hula. And I remember that was at about 4 years old, and from then I never stopped.
For those who are watching and aren't familiar with hula, can you talk a little bit about what a kumu is and what a hālau is?
Sure. Kumu hula is basically a teacher, in the simplest terms, a teacher. But what it entails to become a kumu hula, it's really a mentor. A kumu hula becomes a keeper of culture and really has a lot to do with guiding all of the haumana or students that are part of a hālau. A hālau is a school of hula. Hālau, the term hālau, is very much a school for training in the art of hula, as well as the beliefs and the cultural practices and protocol. And so a kumu hula is really a keeper of that knowledge and that culture. And the training it takes to become a kumu hula is very expansive, intense. So if you have the honor and privilege of learning under a kumu hula, it's definitely an experience that you hold dear. I know I hold all my kumu hula very dear to me, and everything that they were willing to pass on and teach, because they don't have to if they don't want to. So
it sounds like you're saying hula is so much more than just dancing.
Oh, yes, most definitely. And I think any haumana or olapa, any trained dancer can attest to that. There's so much, not only knowledge, but I think you learn a lot about etiquette, ethics, even how to carry yourself, values. You really have develop a lot of respect, mutual respect for people, your peers, as well as your kumu hula aunties and uncles in the hālau. A lot of the times, kupuna, all generations are represented in a hālau. You have keiki all the way up to kupuna, makua. So you really get the full experience of what it's like to honor one another. So all of that is really more than just the dancing itself. I think the dancing is the first maybe attraction or pull, and I think dancing is the conduit of how you learn everything else.
So we know that there's a lot of stereotypes about what hula looks like, especially to people outside Hawaii. We know that it's not this. This is a very not...
You mean it's not this?
It's not that. So for a visitor who doesn't know anything about hula and they're watching it, what should they be looking for? What should they appreciate and enjoy about the nuance of this dance beyond, wavy inflatable balloon arms?
Yeah, and you know what? I do have to give it to Malihini, and we have to take kuleana upon ourselves in the way that they perceive our culture, because we have very much actively put out Polynesian review shows, there's nothing wrong with that. That is a part of creating this whole Hawaii entertainment landscape that we have, and which is beautiful that we have that. And Hawaii is made up of people who are cousins from around Polynesia who now call Hawaii home. So I'm a product of that. And I'm proud. I danced for Tihati Productions for a long time, and I gained so much knowledge being in those spaces as well, representing the different Polynesian cultures. But I think it's important for Malihini what to look for is just to understand that we have different cultures. So hula in itself is one culture. And then maybe in the same show though, they have seen an ote'a that's Ori Tahiti, from the island of Tahiti. And then, right after that, they've seen the siva afi, or the Samoan fire knife. So for them, they kind of, I think naturally, without having a lot of information before that to work off of, will group it all together. So when they do things like this, at first I'm like, that's not it, But then when I think about it, I'm like, I don't blame them. That's kind of what they have gathered as a summary, So I think it's important for them to just understand that when you're watching hula, there's little nuances. Definitely, po'e hula are known for our expression and the way that we express through our face and through just our ano, or the character that comes off from one mele or one song to another. Definitely all of the motions that we have in our hand, it's very detail oriented in our dancing. When it comes to our lima, or our hands, footwork is really important. Footwork as a trained hula person, everybody, stickler on footwork. And of course we have our hips, but it's not supposed to be as noticeable as perhaps in Ori Tahiti or Tahitian dance. So those nuances, especially expression, and the fact that we use our voice, I think that's a characteristic of hula that I love so much, is that dancers have to chant or sometimes sing, and at the very least have to say a kahea, So at least they're gonna be like, oh hea, where sometimes other dance forms the dancer doesn't necessarily have to use their leo.
So, as a visitor, Malihini, you may not know the language, you may not understand it, but there's all kinds of elements of hula that are so beautiful, and especially for hula as a Hawaiian performative art, the discipline of poise and structure and carriage and uniformity, especially amongst a group of dancers, is something that maybe is a little more distinct from other groups, right? Hula really prides itself in everybody looking beautiful and similar. And so there's so much for them to enjoy. You mentioned a little bit about Polynesian reviews. You can find those all over Hawaii, but recently there is a new show that opened at the Waikiki Shell, and that is the Kilohana Hula Show, or Experience Kilohana, and it focuses exclusively on hula and Hawaiian art. Have you had a chance to see the show yet?
I have, because I'm gonna tell you, I was really excited when I started seeing everything, like, oh, the Waikiki Shell, and I was like, yes, finally, because that amphitheater there at the Shell is so famous and very legendary for the Kodak Hula Show that was there for decades. Right. And then when that show stopped and it kind of went dormant, I feel like there was a little or a little, hurts a little bit, and everybody just to kind of, miss that space and seeing hula available to everyone like that. So when the Experience Kilohana show announced that they're having that show again, and it was kind of modeled after the Kodak Hula show, and rightfully so in that legendary space, I was so excited. And when I went to see it, I loved it. The musicians, oh, the music is so good. And there's nothing like, I think there was like 8 or 9 all wahine, like all female musicians just under the hala tree and just jamming away. Oh, I love, you can't really find that anywhere, and an all hula show like that. And I will say it's very refreshing to see an all hula show. I think the Polynesian luau experience has its place and has had its place and will continue to have its place. But as a po'e hula, as a kanaka, and as a kama'aina of this place, when I can go to Waikiki and just see all hula in a full show, like that, I feel so proud.
All right, so before we go today, what's one final mana'o or thought, opinion, something you want to leave with our listeners and our viewers about what hula means, why it's important, anything you want?
That's so difficult. You're gonna make me sum that all up in one mana'o. That's you.
Do it in 5 words or less. No.
Okay.
Especially for our visitors, again, going back to this idea of how do you appreciate it? Like, how do you show your love for hula if you know nothing about it? What's the best way to honor the performers? How do you respectfully engage at a show, right? Maybe that's something we haven't talked about. It's like, what does proper protocol and behavior look like at these shows? Is it
Ooh, that's a great one. We should have in-flight videos, on all the incoming, but that's another episode. When you arrive and you're able to witness and experience, is really just to ho'olohe, just to listen to all the things that you're hearing, just to appreciate, just to sit and take it all in, soak it all up, take it all in, but be enthusiastic about it. That's great. That means, I think that's the power of hula, is that with the language not being understood by Malihini, maybe with even the gestures, it's with the anuan expression that comes out of the dancer that really hits it's like a na'au to na'au thing, that really hit at the na'au of people who witness hula and makes that everlasting imprint on them. And I think that's why hula is so worldwide in different countries, even though they speak different languages. So it's that thing that just transcends all of that all of that time and space. So if you just open yourself up and maybe come without, try to drop whatever preconceived ideas you have of Hawaii and be in the presence and just be open and allow the dancer, allow the music, what you're seeing, allow that to really touch you. And I think that's the best way to appreciate it.
Mika, thank you so much for joining us here on Mindful Malihini. To all of our viewers, we hope you've learned something new and important about the importance of hula and practitioners like Māhealani Mika, and we encourage you the next time you're in Hawaii to engage in authentic hula experience with Experience Kilohana at the Waikiki Shell, which is free to everyone every Sunday through Wednesday from 9:30 to 10:30 in the morning. You can check out for more information at hawaiiancouncil.org.